comedy, huh? Well, that wasn't great. Sorry, Pixar. I respect the effort, I really do, and I'm sure everyone else will too. But that doesn't mean we have to wait. Incredible. Exceptional? Good or not? Wait, hold on, that's Schaeferella's. Okay, 8 out of 10, come on. Welcome back to Steady Life Finding Less and Less to Be Happy About, Movie Edition. I could be finishing my Toradora review, my half-dozen album reviews in the workshop, or trying to emotionally recover from Your Name. But instead, I'm working on this, because apparently, me and my family were the only ones who didn't like Soul. That's fun. Well, I already bugged my friends with my opinion, now time to bug the internet. Alright, you remember that teaser trailer Pixar released a year ago? With that song by AJR playing over the smooth piano keys? I rewatched that trailer after my viewing of Soul, and I gotta say, I enjoyed that 1 minute and 30-second trailer more than the movie. I enjoyed that 1 minute and 11-second trailer more than the movie. That's not to say I think that this movie is bad. It isn't. I mean, not really.
And I, for one, I'm not a Larry the Cable Guy kind of guy.
It isn't painful to watch. Doesn't exactly bore you. However, I wasn't feeling it. And this really disappointed me. I felt like all the pieces were there to make an amazing movie. But it's just so messy. And the ending, well, I'll get into that later, but it kind of killed the well-meaning but poorly executed message the movie had. But first, it's a review video, so I gotta say this. I do my best to bring objective critiques, but of course, all opinions are subjective. If you like the movie, if you love the movie, that's great. Go nuts. Write a fanfic. Link it in the comments. I promise I'll read it. Alright, so we got the beginning. I thought it was passable. The animation, gorgeous. The voice acting, it was great.
Who let the dogs out?
Jazz Guy wasn't as interesting or compelling as some other movies that deal with passion, but we'll get to know him, right? Then he falls down a drain. This moment was played off as weirdly comical. I mean, it's a funny death, I guess. Kind of. But, like, he's still, dying. This drives the plot of the movie forward. Don't you think this scene should have been taken a bit more seriously? The soundtrack was not helping. I think it was actually the biggest problem. The score should have been, a serious, brief, intense transition. But like I said, it's played weirdly comical. That brings up another problem with the movie. The soundtrack doesn't fit the movie very well. Actually, I should say parts of the movie very well. Anything involving jazz is handled nicely, and serves the tone and atmosphere. However, most of the electronic music present in the before and afterlife don't complement the scenes amazingly. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, actually. Scenes didn't feel like they had the oomph they needed, Or even the acknowledgement that there was something important going on. This isn't always the case, but I did notice it. An example where this really had an effect was on the steps to the afterlife. Now, Jazz Guy's circumstance and desperation was almost handled really well. It was genuinely stressful seeing him desperately run from this unfamiliar and terrifying void. Not sure why he's the only one who's tried to escape, or even succeed in escaping, but we'll just step past that. Unfortunately, we got the pesky score bringing the scene down and not doing what it should. The track had some intensity and worry to it, but it didn't nearly express the terror that the animation and voice acting was bringing. And unfortunately, this one small but important factor really brings what could have been a good scene down. Okay, well, what about the other supernatural stuff? The before life, the souls, wasn't that cool? Wasn't that great? No, it wasn't great. In general, I didn't feel like the supernatural aspects were up to par with what I expected from Pixar. Movies like Inside Out were loaded with creativity and fun ideas. Looking at movies like that and the things they came up with in Soul, it felt kind of lackluster. Prime example, the two-dimensional gods. They were pretty limp and flat. Get it? Because they are two-dimensional gods and don't possess any volume? Get it? It's funny. Please like and subscribe. Sorry, Moss from IT Crowd. I love your voice, but I didn't find the drawings that interesting. They were just kind of there, lacking character design and with a little personality, except the one that was obsessively counting the souls. Yes, I liked Edna. She was pretty funny. I don't think her name was Edna. I don't know. She looks like an Edna. That's not to say that Pixar didn't have any good ideas, but even those came with their own problems. For instance, they have this, I guess you could say, machine that gives souls personality traits, like being aloof, manipulative, self-centered. The two-dimensional gods would just randomly pick souls and assign them different personality traits. What? That's crazy! That is such an interesting and kind of disturbing concept to put in your movie. Like, did Pixar consider the ramifications and knowledge we as the audience and the characters get from this? That characteristics of people's souls are just being decided? That could be a whole movie plot in itself. And did Pixar do anything with this? No, the movie uses it for a cheap gag and that's it. One of the two-dimensional gods just says, "Hey, we should probably stop sending so many people through self-centered."
Many through that pavilion.
I mean, come on, guys. That's the problem with some of these ideas. They're not being well utilized. And then, there are moments when I think they go too far with these ideas. For 22, they made a point, I guess more accurately a joke, about how showing people like Abraham Lincoln, Gandhi, and even Mother Teresa couldn't help her. Not only that, but they went so far as to end up hating her. And you know what? Except for her fiery entrance, she's really not shown to be that bad. She was a lot more laid back than I expected her to be. Pixar, if you're going to make a joke tied to a major character problem, can you make it so she seems like less of a spawn of Satan and more like someone who can be helped with a walk in the park and a good talk? And the supernatural stuff that was cool was harmed by the movie's pacing. And this brings me to the second biggest problem with the movie. I'll get to the first towards the end. The pacing was really bad. In important or interesting scenes, they didn't seem to take enough time to let those moments sink in for the characters and audience. Moments like the lost business soul being returned is treated like a quick gag rather than a thoughtful conceptualization. They zipped from one scene to the next, and every character seemed like they couldn't wait to get out. There is even one moment after Jazz Guy's gig and all the side characters are leaving where the mom just hurries into a taxi saying something like, "I gotta go, sorry, I'm just old," and dips! Ma'am, I think you mispronounced "I'm not needed" in the script anymore. Less than 5 seconds. That's how you keep a movie going! I really didn't like the body swap stuff. And look, I usually love body swap concepts in fiction. It's just such a weird and crazy thing to me. It can allow for some hilarious comedy and great drama. But for this movie, it just wasn't hitting it for me. Now granted, this may have been because I had just watched Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name a few days ago, a movie that dabbles heavily in the ideas of body swapping. And this movie basically imprinted on my soul. It's just really good. Beautiful animation. An intricate story just too amazing to describe. The soundtrack. So yeah, solid movie. 6 out of 10. The body swap in Soul, however, just felt kind of tedious and unnecessary. Him being a cat for a long portion of the movie was kind of lame, though I could deal with it. But then we have 22 being in his body. Now listen. I think how it's used to show 22 what life is like on Earth and then wanting to live on Earth was actually really creative. The stuff with her being on Earth and learning to love living was pretty meaningful and was actually a lot of fun. Even with that, it was just so distracting looking at this tall adult black man and hearing a quote-unquote middle-aged white woman coming out of it. Maybe this was more of a personal problem, but it was just hard to keep my mind on the plot hearing this come out of that man. I didn't have a problem with Jazz Guy though because he's a cat. Cats don't talk anyway. It's good, you know? Okay, so then what about the two main conflicts? The first one involving 22 was alright. You know, I liked 22 a lot more than I expected to. She was fun, annoying enough to leave an impression, but again, a lot more laid back than I thought she would be. She was kinda endearing. Unfortunately, her plight wasn't the most compelling to me. At least until she became a lost soul and Jazz Guy had to save her. But at this point, the pacing decided to pull an isekai anime and barrel forward with the force of a truck. Except instead of killing a soon-to-be protagonist, it killed whatever impression the scene would have left on me. Despite that, the resolution is really sweet, and 22 falling to Earth ready to live her life almost made me feel something. Almost. If you made it this far into the video, it might be because you're actually liking it. If that's so, that's actually awesome. If you did find yourself enjoying the video, I ask that you consider giving it a like and subscribing. Subscribing doesn't affect you too much, but to a small YouTuber, it literally means the world. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Alright, so then we have the real conflict of the movie, Jazz Guy and his struggle with passion and meaning. While I don't think Jazz Guy was as compelling or interesting as he could have been, when his character shines, the movie shines. Him just talking frank about his dreams to his mom through 22, awesome stuff. Genuinely love that scene. It was powerful, it was moving, but most of all, it felt natural. It felt relatable. Made me wish the entire movie was just a down-to-earth, mature story about a man and his passion. However, considering how mediocre I thought the beginning scenes were in terms of storytelling and character, that might not have been that amazing either. It's also a good example of why the body swap was so unnecessary. Wait, hold on. I'm supposed to be complimenting the movie. Okay, jazz guy playing piano while flashing back to moments in his life and realizing that a meaningful life is just living. Beautiful, touching, striking. Words. This was easily the best scene in the movie. If his character was more compelling, I would have no qualm calling this one of the best scenes in Pixar history. Sounds like I don't have much to complain about for that specific arc, right? Wrong, because the movie had to go and mess it all up! I am talking about the ending. Jazz Guy had finally accepted his death and realized that his life did have meaning. He didn't need to fight against death anymore. There was nothing left unaccomplished. No reason for his worrying soul to linger. Nothing he needed to fix. He had lived the perfect life by just living. That's what we call the completion of a character arc. It's a beautiful, mature message of growth and acceptance. Oh wait, no, because in comes Moss to say, you know what? We realized you did a good job today. You know, we're just gonna give you another chance. Cause screw consequences and themes of acceptance. This is a kid's movie. Because you were nice, we'll let you come back to life. Just make sure you watch where you step. Oh, but don't worry, we're still meaningful. See, we're gonna state the themes of the movie and really make sure you get the point, just in case the audience is that dense. I did not like that. This was one of the biggest cop-outs in Pixar's history. The whole message of the movie became meaningless to me as I flew into a fit of unnecessary and worrying rage. Okay, I'm joking around, but guys, come on. Joe's whole arc, and yeah, I finally learned his name, I'm sorry, but it's just really hard to remember, was realizing that the purpose in life is to live. And by his flashbacks, we know he realized he did live. This is a very powerful message about accepting your life. I'm sure a lot of people could relate to what Joe was going through. I related to what he was going through. This movie should have been about coming to terms with your own death. And what makes the story interesting, what makes the story amazing, was that he gets to do that after he dies. But screw that, two-dimensional gods get to say, sorry guys, we just talked to the higher-ups and they said we can't have anything too serious or powerful in this movie, despite the fact that this movie deals with souls and death. Pixar, you guys should have been secure enough in your own movie to know that him peacefully passing on was the good ending. And you know what? Despite me not even being that invested in the movie, I really thought they were going to go through with it. I figured he was going to pass on, and even though I wouldn't like the movie that much, I was going to immensely respect that decision. In spite of all of this, of everything I've said about this movie, you may be surprised, I still don't think it's that bad. The animation is still amazing, I really like some scenes, however, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I think it had so much potential to be an amazing movie that strongly dealt with soul, but I think Pixar just needed to put more thought into it. That really is the biggest insult of soul. I really wanted to enjoy this movie. I wanted to love this movie. But because of these problems, I didn't. It's still a passable 5 out of 10, but just... It's not something I'm ever going to revisit, unless I want to see if my opinions on it changed. You know what? This video gets like 1,000 views in, I don't know, a week. I'll rewatch the movie and make another video. That will take a week of my time on a film I don't really like. Oh, by the way, I'm feeling like a 4 out of 10 now, so that's something, I guess. 4 to 5 out of 10, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I need something to do other than rewatch your name and try to emotionally recover from that. And you know what, how about one more time? I'll be right back. Thank you for watching the video. And a big thanks to BIG Entertainment for doing most of the editing. Link in the description for his channel. Make sure to check him out, subscribe, spam him. If you enjoyed the video, that's great. If so, consider giving it a like. I'm going to be posting more movie content on this channel, as well as some music. So I got like a half dozen ideas, ranging from Avatar: The Last Airbender to Eminem. So if that sounds like things you'd be interested in, consider hitting that subscribe button to stay tuned. Thanks for watching.